Hello, Steve White, Steve White's 89. Well, it's Friday the 13th. I love Friday the 13th. I've always loved the Friday the 13th films. I've always watched them to the point that I had to start relegating them only to Friday the 13th, the actual weekend. Otherwise, I would watch them all the time. In fact, when I was younger, I did watch them all the time, along with Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, and I decided to relegate all those films to pretty much different holidays or occasions or time of year so I wouldn't watch them all year round. Um, and it's Friday the 13th in December. We're having another one in February. But normally, basically, I watch all the Friday the 13th movies. I start on Thursday night, just after midnight or just before midnight. I start watching the first one and I go right through to 9. Then I jump to 11 and then I do 10 and then usually last I do the reboot, and that's sort of what I kind of had to talk about. I was vaguely aware there was some legal issues with Friday the 13th. I thought it was just between who was going to have the rights, the film rights to make the next film. They were supposed to make a sequel to the remake a few years ago, and that fell out, I think, due to funding. And then copyright expired, or whatever deal they had expired, and the rights reverted back to Paramount or Warner Brothers gave up their international rights. Something had happened, but I wasn't really sure what happened. And then I did a little bit of research and I found out, oh wow, it's actually bigger than I thought. Victor Miller, who wrote the original screenplay, apparently there is a law that was made in the 70s saying that artists who made films, wrote films basically, or stories, I think songs as well, for companies or as a work for hire, or while working for a company, and therefore it belongs to the company. After 35 years, they're allowed to claim them back. So Victor Miller sued to get back the rights to Friday the 13th, 35 years after the original, and he got them away from Sean S. Cunningham. So Sean doesn't own the rights to Friday the 13th anymore. Now he's appealed, and the appeals courts have it was withdrawn and then it was put back in by, I think they had a deadline of April. So they did get it in. There were some technical problems, but they got it back in time by the deadline, and they are saying that they are going to hear oral arguments in February 2020. So there's talk of having a resolution by June 2020. I don't know how Sean's going to get the rights back. I didn't understand how they went in the first place. I thought it was some argument about who wrote it or something. I didn't realize they're not arguing who wrote it. They're actually just saying that the law says that at this point people get their rights back. Now this is affecting other franchises: Predator, Beetlejuice, Terminator, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Stephen King's been quietly going along getting the rights back to all these films for years. The reason why they did that fairly bland Pet Sematary sequel was remake, reboot, whatever it was. I didn't really like it. The reason why they did that was because they were running out of time to do it. Because if they didn't do it soon, Stephen King would have the rights back to the novel. So he's basically gone and claimed back what we have: The Mist, The Dead Zone, Cujo, Children of the Corn, Creepshow, Cat's Eye, all the early 80s movies. I guess he's getting the rights back. That he sold the rights to film companies or screenwriters or whoever. So that's very interesting. I didn't realize how complicated it was and how certain it was. And this is going to affect a lot of franchises and a lot of movies and a lot of sequels, a lot of reboots. Now, it doesn't affect anything internationally, so everyone who owns international rights to franchises get to keep them, but they'll have to negotiate with the American rights holders in regards to future releases and future reboots and films and sequels and things. So that's interesting. So I don't know if I'm going to have any new Friday the 13th to watch anytime soon, because they're not even going to get themselves sorted till the middle of the next year, let alone getting anything up. But then again, they can start planning and be in pre-production. Basically, they just have to have the rights finalised, I guess. So Victor Miller will probably get something happening soon. So Jason, you might be back in the woods soon. Now, I do collect a few Jason things. I've got a whole bunch of the Sideshow toys and a couple of books, but I don't have a lot. I've got The Making of the Friday the 13th, which is sadly black and white. It's got one little colour section, but the rest is all black and white. But it's cute. It's good. If you ever see it, grab it. And of course, Crystal Lake Memories, which of course any Friday the 13th fan would have seen, which is gorgeous. I just can't find a good picture right now to open up to. Okay. There's the no-face Jason from part 6. Well, at least one eye's closed. So yeah, I'm going to go back to my marathon, and I'm not going to have any new Friday the 13th for a while. I was hoping when I did a bit of research into the case it was going to be a bit less messy, and I thought it had been sorted, but I guess in Victor Miller's mind it has been because they gave the rights to him. But it's still in appeals, so while it's in appeals they can't do anything new. So we'll see how long this takes. Happy Friday the 13th.